I think the Commanders are for real because I think Jayden Daniels, even better than Andrew Luck, is absolutely special. Led the NFL in touchdown passes with an average O-line and one-star receiver this year. More than Mahomes or Josh Allen or Stafford. That's insane. Highest passer rating by any quarterback. Remember last year when I picked him to make the playoffs, and everybody said, well, there's too much change. And I said, yeah, they're getting rid of bad people, putting in good people. I don't care about change. If you're improving everywhere you make change, this team, this is the worst roster Jayden Daniels is ever going to have. They got the most cap space along with New England. I think they're up top of the league next year, near the top. So I think they're a real team. I think they can beat Philadelphia.
Ooh, I think they can beat Philadelphia. That was the real reason why I really wanted to kind of isolate this clip. We already know how great Jayden Daniels is. We already know all that. We know that he's having one of the best seasons ever. Truly special. Whether he was a rookie or not, this season is special. Playing like literally a top elite quarterback in the NFL. Rookie or not rookie. Roster or not roster. Like coach, no coach, doesn't matter. Unbelievable. Amazing. And now, going into this playoff game, think about it. Some people gave the Commanders a little, some chance to beat the Bucks, but it wasn't like a popular take. I'm sure some people said it, but it was more of like a hot take, more of a hot take. There was the whole thing of rookie quarterback on the road, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then going up against the Lions, I mean, people kind of gave the lip service of like, the Commanders can keep it close. And, if it comes down to one possession and the Commanders have the ball last, Jayden Daniels, he's clutch. And, it could happen. But, like, nobody was really picking the Commanders. Now we're going to get some real takes of people saying, I think the Commanders can beat the Eagles. And it's going to be like a real honest, like, not hot take. It's not going to be like it's going to be a real take that's respected. That's like, yeah, I can see it. Maybe I disagree with you, but I can see it. Like it's a real take. It's a socially acceptable take to have that the Commanders will beat the Eagles on Sunday, which is kind of wild when you really think about how far the Commanders have come. And again, I'm not making any predictions. This is not a video where I'm going to talk about all the different ways that the Commanders can beat the Eagles. Because I think the Commanders absolutely can beat the Eagles. We've seen them beat the Eagles. Now, again, that was obviously a bizarre game. And this is something that Commanders fans don't love to talk about. But Jalen Hurts did get injured. And Jayden Daniels played both an awesome game, but also a terrible game. It was very bizarre. He had moments where it was some of his worst throws he's ever made in his NFL career. And he had other moments where they were literally some of the most special throws in his NFL career. Like a couple of his interceptions, especially the one was kind of like, what are you doing? It was like, oh, that was not good, not good, not good. And then he has another play and you're like, oh my God, what are you doing? That was amazing. What am I seeing right now? So it was a little bit of both. Which is what makes this game unpredictable for me, quite frankly. I think the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Commanders is going to be a fascinating matchup. It's going to be their third time that they're playing each other. Dan Quinn knows the Eagles very well. He's been coaching against them for years now, especially, obviously with the Dallas Cowboys. And Cliff Kingsbury is just on one. Jayden Daniels is on one. De'Ami Brown, McLaurin, Ertz, everyone's really, really rising. But the Philadelphia Eagles defense is for real. And just because something happened last time doesn't mean that it's going to happen again. Again, who knows about Jalen Hurts? He's legitimately banged up. Sprained knee of some sort. Don't know. That could mean so many different things. That can mean, it's a little sore, it's a little wonky. Or it can mean I really don't feel good. So we don't know. No, we really don't know. And again, I know Commanders fans are going to be very confident going into this game. And Eagles fans are very confident. And I keep talking to both fan bases. And I'm kind of just like, you guys should be respecting each other. I see so many Commanders fans be like, the Eagles aren't that good. We'll rock them. And then the Eagles fans like, oh, yeah, right. Jayden Daniels not that special. We're going to destroy them. And I'm like trying to tell each fan this. I'm like, no. The Eagles are really good. They have a stacked roster. No. Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders are actually really, really good. And Jayden Daniels is special. I promise. It's just going back and forth. I can't get either of the fan bases to respect the other team. And I understand why. Obviously, longtime rival. I get it. But still, it's pretty interesting to watch this kind of all unfold. But the fact that that it is now an acceptable take that Jayden Daniels is special, that Jayden Daniels is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, that the Washington Commanders can beat the Philadelphia Eagles, the 2 seed. They already beat the 1 seed, that they can go on the road and beat the Eagles, like all of those things. Now that's like, that is a legitimate, where if so you say that, you're not like, what? And it's not like Rex Ryan being like, the Commanders are going to win. And everyone's like, oh, Rex, you're crazy. How could you say that? Like, it's like a real, like, oh, this is what I think's going to happen. And people are like, oh, yeah. No, makes sense. I can definitely see that. Like, it's a real take. It's a real take that the Commanders can win the NFC Championship game and go to the Super Bowl. It's just kind of wild. And that's why it's also kind of funny, because, again, I argued since, like, October that, maybe even September, but definitely at least October, because I showed a clip in my Victory Lap clip saying that, like, Jayden Daniels should be, without a doubt in the MVP consideration, if not leading the MVP race. And got so much pushback for that. And again, you're talking about him leading this team to top 4. Like, whether he wins or loses, it's still top 4. Like, it's kind of a big deal, no? I'm kind of new to this whole football thing, right? NFC Championship game is kind of important. The fact that people think that they could actually win this game, the fact that people are actually going to pick them to win this game specifically because of Jayden Daniels' specialness, kind of sounds like the most valuable player. Again, I'm kind of new to this whole thing. That's what MVP stands for, right? Okay, I wasn't sure. I only started watching football like last week. I just, this is all new to me. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Colin, all week, all for the last month or so or whatever, I remember a time when they left the Commanders off the top 10. And I was like, no way, what? That's crazy. No way. And remember at one point the Commanders were like top 5 or something, or top 6. And I was like, isn't this wild? This has got to be the first time this has happened in, since Colin's been doing this. And then, like, they fell off. And now they're top 4. Like, literally top 4. I mean, they you can't argue against it. They're literally there. And they had to beat the Detroit Lions, the number 1 seed, to get there. Kind of a big deal. And we can talk about their defense and this and that all we want, but the Minnesota Vikings didn't beat them with Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell. The Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love couldn't beat them. I mean, lots of teams could not beat them, even when they were injured and banged up. So maybe there is something to this whole Washington Commanders team and Jayden Daniels. Maybe we have to stop underselling how great they are. This game is going to be so awesome. I'm so torn in this game because this is 2 teams that I have really spoken incredibly highly about throughout the whole season. 2 teams that I've defended, that I said were going to be top. I actually said, and I didn't do this whole victory that, but I said that the Eagles were going to win the division and that the Commanders would be going in through the wild card. And again, that is exactly what happened. And I think next year it's going to be, again, a battle to who's going to win the division. It's going to all depend really on like off-season moves more than anything. And so how this season has all unfolded, like even when the Commanders lost against the Bucks and, then when Jayden Daniels got banged up, or when they beat the Giants, but it was like their field goal kicker is gone, or when they beat, I forget what team they beat, but they beat one, a team, and it was like with a couple bad defense. Like, well, this team just has a bad defense and all this. And I had to do similar things with the Eagles. The Eagles lost to the Bucks as well. And I'm like, well, the Eagles were so injured, A.J. Brown, Devontae, concussions, like all this type of stuff. And they're like, you're just making excuses. And so like I've had to defend and praise both these teams, again and again and again, week after week after week after week after week. And now they're facing each other. It's like my 2 children just going up against head to head. I'm like, I don't know. What do I do? So either way I win, quite frankly. Either way, it's like either way I can say I told you so. And that's why it's going to be kind of funny too, because it's kind of going to be similar with the Bills and the Ravens, where it's kind of like whoever loses that game, they're going to be like, I told you that quarterback can't win the big game, while the other quarterback who does win the big game, it's like, yeah, well, who cares? It's like, well, they played against the quarterback that can't win a big game. And it's like, if the Eagles beat the Commanders, it's like, well, they beat a rookie quarterback. And if the Commanders beat the Eagles, it's like, well, Jalen Hurts hasn't been good, and this team is, was really kind of hanging on by a thread. So it's I think Jayden Daniels and the Commanders will get a ton of praise if they get to the Super Bowl as a rookie. I do. But just kind of like how we saw how the Commanders beat the Detroit Lions and they were all banged up. People were like, well, there were injuries and stuff like that. So I think you'll still get some of that. But I think people will have to ride the Washington Commanders hype train, because it's like you either keep up or you get left behind. You can't be talking trash on the team that's now like in the Super Bowl, right? With Jayden Daniels. Like it's just not gonna work. But on the flip side, if the Eagles win and Jayden Daniels, they'll just be like, oh, this was a very special year. Like it'll almost be like kind of like insulting. It'll be like they're talking down, or they'll be like, no, it was great. You had a great year. No, there's nothing to be sad about. It's great. You're just not there yet. It's okay. Maybe next year when you're a little bit older and a little bit taller. So the conversations around no matter who wins is going to be fascinating for me to kind of unpack and take a look. But the fact of the matter is that the Washington Commanders have a real chance to win the NFC. Okay? They have a real chance to win the NFC. They have a real chance to literally go to the Super Bowl. And if you go to the Super Bowl and you knock out the Philadelphia Eagles to get there, then you have a real chance to win the Super Bowl. And it's just like, it's just wild. It's just, we have such fascinating stories in front of us. We have the Washington Commanders and Jayden Daniels. If they win the Super Bowl, would be wild. Would rock the world. Rock the world. Rookie quarterback. Commanders were awful team. Win the Super Bowl. Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl. They three-peat. Everyone's going to be like, oh, this is the greatest franchise in the history of the universe. The Buffalo Bills win the first time ever. Oh my God. Josh Allen broke the curse. Unbelievable. Josh Allen will now skyrocket to the conversation of, is he the best quarterback in the NFL? Is he the GOAT? Is he on his path to become the GOAT? The Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl. It's kind of interesting what the narrative will be. It'll be fascinating to be like what that, because the other three teams have clear narratives that we can really clearly sink our teeth in. The Philadelphia Eagles just get to kind of stamp and say, we have been an all-time great franchise for the last 25 years. We have the second most playoff wins, only to the dynasty, like literally the Tom Brady and the Patriots. We have 2 Super Bowls in the last 7 years, 3 Super Bowl appearances. Like, we are truly a top franchise. Like, that's what they get. So from like a legendary narrative standpoint, not as much, but from kind of like really solidifying themselves as a perennial, like truly top team. Pretty much the way how they erroneously talk about the Dallas Cowboys will be like, well, no, here are the Eagles. This is what they do. Okay? Like they actually walk the walk and talk the talk. So all 4 narratives are kind of interesting here. I think they all have their benefit in the NFL, honestly. I really, really do. I think if Jayden Daniels wins, it really kind of shows what's possible. The Buffalo Bills win and Josh Allen, it's a great story, and it now makes the conversation of who's the best quarterback, it just makes it more interesting to me. It's a more fun offseason, not to mention if Jayden Daniels wins the Super Bowl, honestly, like, he'll be inserted in that as well. Are we witnessing the next GOAT, right? Like, so that kind of also has that punch to it. And, if the Kansas City Chiefs repeat, again, that'll be like the main thing that everyone talks about. And then they'll also just kind of talk about Patrick Mahomes. Has Patrick Mahomes solidified himself as the GOAT? And then again, you have the Philadelphia Eagles, where if anything, I think they'll just be another example of the team that keeps winning when consistently doubted. I think probably actually will be the ultimate narrative for them, which is very similar to how they won the Super Bowl last time in 2017, when they had Nick Foles, a backup quarterback, against the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. Like that was kind of like the ultimate underdog story, which is very much who the Philadelphia Eagles are. And it kind of solidifies that. So, I don't know. I'm fascinated with all of this. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about I almost said the Philadelphia Eagles, about the Washington Commanders taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, kind of where they're at, how things have really finally come full circle here with them and their chances on Sunday. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.